What does LoRaWAN stand for in IoT communication? Local Radio Wireless Area Network, Low Range Wide Area Network, Long Range Wide Area Network, Limited Range Wireless Area Network. Which of the following technologies uses ultra-low power and supports devices like fitness trackers? Wi-Fi, Zigbee, LoRaWAN, Ethernet. What does RFID stand for? Remote Frequency Identification, Radio Frequency Identification, Random Frequency Identification, Real-Time Frequency Identification. What is the typical range of a passive RFID tag? 10 to 20 meters. Less than 10 meters. 50 to 100 meters. Over 1 kilometer. Which of the following is a key component of an RFID system? Antenna, transponder, RFID tag, reader. All of the above. Which of the following is a primary application of Z-Wave technology? Industrial IoT, smart homes and home automation, medical imaging, high-speed internet access. What is Sigfox? A high-bandwidth communication protocol, a low-power, wide-area network (LPWAN) technology, a cloud storage platform, a device management software. Which of the following techniques does Sigfox use for communication? Frequency hopping spread spectrum (FHSS), ultra-narrow band (UNB) modulation, orthogonal frequency division multiplexing (OFDM), carrier sense multiple access (CSMA). What does 6LoWPAN stand for? 6 layers of wireless protocols for all networks. IPv6 over low power wireless personal area networks. 6-level open wireless personal area networks. Low power IPv6 based wired networks. Which of the following is a primary goal of 6LoWPAN? High-speed video streaming, enabling IPv6 connectivity for low-power IoT devices. Implementing cloud-based IoT services. Providing proprietary IoT protocols. What is Thread in the context of IoT? A cloud-based IoT service. A low-power wireless communication protocol. A proprietary IoT platform. A high-speed internet connection technology.
अगर आप CCC या O लेवल के स्टूडेंट हैं तो पेश है आपके लिए आपके सब्जेक्ट से रिलेटेड 1500 प्लस MCQs। इसमें क्वेश्चंस हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में हैं, शॉर्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन है और आपके डाउट सॉल्व करने के लिए ChatGPT की सपोर्ट है। अगर आप इसे ट्राई करना चाहते हैं तो प्ले स्टोर से Anki डाउनलोड करें और हमारी वेबसाइट acemcqs.gt.tc पर जाकर अपने सब्जेक्ट के फ्री सैंपल सेट डाउनलोड करें और Anki में इंपोर्ट करके इस्तेमाल करना शुरू करें। अगर आपको अच्छा लगे तो बाय नाउ पर क्लिक करके गूगल फॉर्म फिल करें। हम आपका 1500 प्लस क्वेश्चन का सेट 1 से 6 घंटे के अंदर आपके व्हाट्सएप नंबर और ईमेल पर भेज देंगे।
Which wireless standard does Thread use for communication? Wi-Fi IEEE 802.11, Bluetooth IEEE 802.15.4, LoRaWAN. Thread is built on which protocol for routing and communication? TCP/IP, UDP/IP, IPv6, HTTP. What is the typical range of NFC communication? 10 meters. 4 to 10 centimeters. 1 meter. 100 meters. Which of the following is a common application of NFC in IoT? Long-distance sensor communication, contactless payment systems, industrial automation, video streaming. What does COAP stand for in the context of IoT? Communication Access Protocol, Constrained Application Protocol, Compact Application Protocol, Centralized Access Point. What is the primary role of cloud computing in IoT? Data storage and processing, powering IoT devices, manufacturing IoT hardware, designing IoT devices. Which of the following is not a benefit of integrating cloud computing with IoT? Scalability, real-time data analysis, dependency on local servers, cost efficiency. What is the primary purpose of IaaS in IoT systems? Hosting IoT applications, providing virtualized computing resources, offering ready-to-use software for IoT analytics, building IoT devices. What is the full form of SaaS in cloud computing? Software as a service, storage as a service, security as a service, system as a service. What is the full form of PaaS in cloud computing? Protocol as a service, program as a service, process as a service, platform as a service. What is the full form of IaaS in cloud computing? Infrastructure as a service, internet as a service, integration as a service, instance as a service. Which IoT cloud platform primarily uses PaaS? Oz Elastic Beanstalk, Google Drive, Microsoft Azure IoT Suite, Dropbox. Which type of physical cable has the fastest transmission speed? Twisted pair cables, coaxial cable, fiber optic cable, microwave. Which of the following communication medium supports the highest data rate? Optical fiber, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, Bluetooth. A feedback signal that subtracts from the input signal is called negative feedback, positive feedback, both A and B, none of the above. A system that utilizes a device to control a process without using feedback is called open-loop control system, closed-loop feedback control system, regulator, all of the above. A system that uses a measurement of the output and compares it with the desired output is called open-loop control system, closed-loop feedback control system, both A and B, all of the above. It is a control system that has only one input and one output. CISO, MIMO, both A and B, none of the above. Which of the following is not a guided medium? Twisted pair, fiber optic cable, coaxial cable, atmosphere. The inner core of an optical fiber is blank in composition. Glass or plastic, bimetallic, copper, liquid. Transmission media are usually categorized as fixed or unfixed, guided or unguided, determinate or indeterminate, none of the above. Bits from the physical layer are converted into frames by which layer? Data link layer, network layer, transport layer, none of these. What is the main function of the transport layer? Node-to-node delivery, process-to-process delivery, synchronization, updating and maintenance of routing tables. The Internet Protocol generally corresponds to which OSI layer? Network layer, transport layer, data link layer, session layer. An open-loop control system is also referred to as feedback control system, non-feedback control system, multiple feedback control system, loop feedback control system. A manual control system is also known as open-loop control system, closed-loop control system, feedback control system, all of these. Bread toaster is an example of open-loop control system, closed-loop control system, both open and closed-loop control system, none of these. An automatic control system is also known as open loop or feedback control system, open loop or non-feedback control system, closed loop or feedback control system, none of these. A closed-loop control system is also known as non-feedback control system, feedback control system, open control system, none of these. In which the control system action is totally independent of the output of the system. Closed-loop control system, open-loop control system, feedback control system, all of the above. How many layers are present in the OSI model? 3 layers, 4 layers, 5 layers, 7 layers. In the OSI model, what does OSI stand for? Open System Internet, Open Systems Interconnection, Operating System Interconnection, Operating System Interaction. The OSI model was developed by which organization? ISO Internet Standards Organization, ISO International Standards Organization, ISO International System Organization, ISO International Software Organization. Which layer is the bottom-most or the first layer of the OSI model? Physical layer, presentation layer, transport layer, application layer. Which layer of the OSI model handles the initiation, maintenance, and termination of a network's physical connection? Physical layer, session layer, network layer, application layer. At which layer of the OSI model does the conversion of digital bits into an electrical, radio, or optical signal occur? Application layer, network layer, session layer, physical layer. Which layer of the OSI model performs synchronization and error checking? Network layer, data link layer, session layer, application layer. Which layer of the OSI model acts as the network controller? Application layer, session layer, physical layer, network layer. Which layer of the OSI model is responsible for deciding the best route to move data from source to destination? Network layer, application layer, transport layer, data link layer. In which layer of the OSI model do fragmentation and reassembly of data packets take place? Application layer, network layer, transport layer, physical layer. On which layer of the OSI model does the User Datagram Protocol (UDP) work? Application layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer. Which layer of the OSI model is referred to as the heart of the OSI model? Application layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer. At which layer of the OSI model does the Transmission Control Protocol (TCP) operate? Application layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer. How many layers are present in the TCP IP model? 7 layers, 4 layers, 5 layers, 3 layers. Which layer is not a part of the TCP IP model? Application layer, session layer, transport layer, internet layer. TCP IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, Transaction Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, Traffic Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. None of these. The TCP IP model was initially known as Intranet, Home Network, ARPANET, APANA-net. Which layer of the TCP IP model performs the function of the top 3 layers of the OSI model? Application layer, network layer, session layer, transport layer. The application layer of the TCP IP model performs the functions of which 3 layers of the OSI model? Application, network and session layer. Application, transport and session layer. Application, presentation and session layer. Physical, presentation and session layer. Which one is not a suitable communication technology for IoT? Zigbee, NFC, Bluetooth, wired network. In what form is data primarily transferred at the network layer? Packets, datagram, bytes, bits. Which of the following components is primarily known for providing Wi-Fi network connectivity? Arduino Uno, 8266 Spanish pesetas. LM35, PIC 182G62. Which of the following is not a passive transducer? Thermistor, transformer, thermocouple, robot. What does Datagram Transport Layer Security (DTLS) provide? Security features on UDP. Security features on TCP. Security features on UDP and TCP. None of the above. How many layers are there in the OSI model? 5, 4, 7, 6. During embedded system design, which design approach considers both hardware and software aspects? Memory design, software, hardware design, platform-based design, peripheral design. Identify the most polite way to begin a business letter. We are forced to refuse. We demand to know from you. We find it difficult to believe. We appreciate your prompt reply. How can one research and inquire about a company? Website, company directories, annual report, all of these. Which of the following is a key characteristic of the embedded C language? Hardware independent. Used for web applications. Used with limited resources. Used for native development. What is the number of elements in OpenIoT architecture? 4, 5, 6, 7. What is the process to check whether previous stages of reading have been followed properly? Survey, question, reading, review. What type of transfer function do most sensors have? 0, infinity, linear, nonlinear. Functions can pass information in which of the following ways? Value, reference, stack, both A and B. How can you throw an error with preprocessor directives to the Arduino compiler, forcing it to stop compilation? #warning, #stop, #cut, #error. What is the feeling of competence to cope with life's challenges and of being worthy of happiness called? Arrogance, self-esteem, self-efficacy, wishful thinking. Which of the following devices are specifically used for converting serial to parallel and parallel to serial, respectively? Microcontroller, timers, counters, registers. How should a speaker's tone be? Loud, clear, low, soft. The process of assessing a speaker's content while listening is called critical listening, dialogic listening, comprehensive listening, systematic listening. In an IoT network, Secure Shell (SSH) is gateway, secure network protocol, router, firewall. In IoT, which transport layer protocol sets up connections without handshakes, acknowledgements? UDP, TCP, FTP, HTTP. Which applications take data or input from various devices and convert it into viable actions or clear patterns for human analysis? Real-time analytics, data collection, device integration, Real-time collection. Which of the following is not a data type? SBIT, DBIT, bit, unsigned int. Which of the following is the key to an effective presentation? Image, styles, limited words and key phrases, layouts. The scope a hacker can use to break into a system is called the attack surface, defense, principle of least privilege, risk mitigation. What type of computing allows data processing close to the device? Edge computing, cloud computing, fog computing, grid computing. A good presenter and communicator should possess which of the following qualities? Follow good sequencing of ideas. Manage time properly. Clear doubts. All of these. Which of these non-verbal cues may convey arrogance? Shoulder shrug, jointed fingertips, hands swinging loosely, pointed finger. What is the process called that removes a specific band of frequencies from a signal while allowing others to pass? Attenuation, distortion, filtering. None of the above. Which of the following is not a leading cloud service for IoT deployments? AWS, IBM Watson, Microsoft Azure, Google Drive. Which of the following layers in the OSI model is often referred to as the port layer? Application, presentation, session, transport. Which of the following communication mediums supports the highest data rate? Ethernet, Bluetooth, optical fiber, Wi-Fi. Which of the following protocols does not primarily operate at the data link layer? Zigbee Smart Energy, LoRaWAN, Wireless HART, Secure MQTT. In which layer are various application platforms built as required by the service needs of a smart grid? Perception layer, smart network layer, smart application layer, data layer. Each IP packet must contain only destination IP address, only source IP address, source and destination IP addresses. None of the above. A closed-loop control system has one or more blank between its output and input. Control loops, controller loops, feedback loops. None of the above. At which layer of the OSI reference model does a router operate? Layer 2, data link layer. Layer 3, network layer. Layer 1, physical layer. Layer 4, transport layer. Which of the following layers interacts with the device? Physical layer, application layer, transport layer, data link layer. The network layer is concerned with bits, frames, packets. None of the mentioned. A traffic light system is an example of open loop system, Closed loop system, both A and B, none of these.
अगर आप ट्रिपल सी या ओ लेवल के स्टूडेंट हैं तो पेश है आपके लिए आपके सब्जेक्ट से रिलेटेड 1500 प्लस MCQs। इसमें क्वेश्चंस हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में हैं, शॉर्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन है और आपके डाउट सॉल्व करने के लिए ChatGPT की सपोर्ट है। अगर आप इसे ट्राई करना चाहते हैं तो प्ले स्टोर से Anki डाउनलोड करें और हमारी वेबसाइट asmcqs.gt.tc पर जाकर अपने सब्जेक्ट के फ्री सैंपल सेट डाउनलोड करें और Anki में इंपोर्ट करके इस्तेमाल करना शुरू करें। अगर आपको अच्छा लगे तो बाय नाउ पर क्लिक करके गूगल फॉर्म फिल करें। हम आपका 1500 प्लस क्वेश्चन का सेट 1 से 6 घंटे के अंदर आपके व्हाट्सएप नंबर और ईमेल पर भेज देंगे।